first thing you're going to do is draw a circle for the cranium, which is the top part, back part of the skull. Then you're going to draw the jaw area, just kind of a general rough kind of shape. It doesn't have to be exact at this point. The next thing you're going to do is draw a horizontal and vertical axis. The horizontal axis you want to put in just a little bit above halfway, and the vertical is just directly in the center vertically. Then you're going to place where the eyes are. You're going to put a center shape in the middle, and then you're going to measure that and then put that on either side of that middle. So what you want to do is measure your eye. So your eye from corner to corner on the outside, you're measuring that, sight measuring it, and then measuring that to see if that's the same unit of measure between your eyes, and then using that as unit of measure to see how big the space is from the outside corner of your eye to the outside area of your head. Then you're going to draw an eye in one of the eye spaces. Once you've gotten that eye correctly proportioned, the contour of it is correct, then you'll draw the other eye. To get an accurate, even eye placement, you want to use some horizontal sight lines. The top sight line will run from the top of the eyelid across, and then the second sight line will run from the outside corner across, and the bottom sight line will run from the bottom of the bottom eyelid across. So you have, and you can also put one that runs from the inside corner to corner as well. This way it'll help you line up the top lid, the outside corner, the inside corner, and the bottom of the lid. That way your eyes are even and they look symmetrical across the board. You can use a ruler for this part. Pay attention to the shape of your eye, that they're the same shape on either side. Then you will draw the other eye. Same thing as the first one. You'll draw the eyeball that sits inside. So you'll draw the tear duct. If you see the outside edge of the eyeball, you'll put that in. You'll put your iris in, your waterline in. And one good thing to do is to, check your unit of measure, check your eyes to each other. Make sure you're not losing your correct spacing between the eyes as you're drawing. Things aren't shifting over, because that can happen. For instance, here I'm probably gonna have to make some corrections because when I drew the eye, I started encroaching past the area that I needed to go. So once you draw the eye, you put your top eyelid in, your bottom eyelid in. Remember, the eyeball is a sphere and you're trying to make it look spherical. Check your measurements, make sure things are good. I needed more space between my eyes, so I had to adjust. Don't be afraid to adjust. Don't be afraid to erase. And, keep your sight lines so that, you can go back and make things symmetrical and whatnot. And remember, when you're measuring, your unit of measure is from corner to corner. I'm checking that unit of measure to between the space between my eye. How many of the unit of measure from corner to corner is between my eye? For me, it was about even, so I had to make sure that that space was there. If it's not there, your eyes are gonna be too close together. Just continually check those measurements. If you need to adjust, and make the corrections that you need to before it goes too far. So just once again, you're drawing the eyeball, tear duct, outside edge, waterline, iris. And it's a good way to make sure your irises are the same is to sight measure one iris against the other, make sure they're the same width. Making sure my eyeballs are the same, my eyelids are the same, on the same line. So I'm checking my irises against each other, making sure they're the same width so they don't look funny. Pay attention to the lines around your eye. Go put those in. It's going to make your eyes look like your eyes. Now what I'm doing here is I am creating vertical sight lines. I'm using the unit of measure corner to corner to find where my eyebrows hit, top and bottom. And then I'm going to just roughly put the shape of my eyebrows in. I'm using the vertical sight lines from the corner to corner to kind of figure out, like, does my eyebrow come past the inside corner of my eye? Where does the arch of my brow fall on the outside corner of my eye? Using those as vertical sight lines. We're going to continue those vertical sight lines from the inside corner of the eyes down. Then we're going to make a vertical sight line from the center of the iris down, roughly. Now, keep in mind that we're going to use the unit of measure from the outside corner to corner of the eye. I'm going to take that unit of measure and I'm going to measure those down starting at the inside corner of my eye. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So I'm going to use that as a unit of measure. I'm going to find out how many of that unit of measure down till the bottom of my nose hits. And so it was about 1 and a little bit less than a half, so about 1.5, a little bit short of that. And then I'm going to put my nose in. Now, I do mess up here. My center line is off because I had shifted my eye over. I'll correct that shortly. Give it a second. There we go. So I correct that. Make sure that my center line is in the center, so my nose is center between my eyes. So then I'm going to draw my nose in. You can use the exercise that we did to draw the nose and the facial features as such. So you're making sure that the aula, the outside of the aula is hitting where it needs to. If you draw that vertical line, where does that vertical line hit your nose? Are the aula on the outside of that line or are they on the inside of that line? You can measure the width times the height in comparison to your eyes as well. You can use any kind of sight measuring that you need to. But your unit of measure is corner to corner the eye so that everything is the same. So then I'm going to find where my lips hit. Now my lips hit about 2 unit of measures down from the corner of my eye. And so I'm going to draw my lips in. Once again, just using the sight measuring. I'm going to, so the iris, the center of the iris down, where does the outside of your lips hit? Now, typically, the corner of your lips typically hit that sight line from the iris, center of the iris down. Yours might be a little bit more on the inside. They might be a little bit on the outside. It depends on your face, but that's a good way to kind of find where that hits. And then you'll draw your lips in the way that we learned how to do it when we were drawing facial features. So then after you do that, you can draw the contour of the outside of your face. The last thing you can do, if you have hair, you can just draw the shape of the hair. And don't need to go into detail, just the shape that the hair makes. We'll go into how to draw hair later. And then you're done for this portion of the drawing, just the line portion of it. A good rule of thumb is to go back, just check your measurements, check your proportions, step back from the drawing, look at it, make sure everything's correct. This is your layout that you're drawing, once again, with your Vine charcoal or your graphite pencil. It's just a layout. In the next video, I'll show you how to apply value.